Good evening. It's Monday, January 31st, and here's today's top stories in Metro Atlanta.
A shocking discovery recently made in DeKalb County. Dozens of letters were found dumped in a ditch.
Adam Murphy has that story in tonight's Rewind, followed by the latest about the three men convicted of killing Ahmaud Arbery.
Good evening. Michelle Wilson told me that she and her husband decided to clean out this ravine across from their home right over here that has become sort of a dumping ground through the last few months or so. And while they were out here trying to pull out all of that debris, they stacked it over here and told me they found more than just this mess.
Well, you can still see an advertising piece of mail. I left it because I couldn't get down that far and it didn't look important.
While cleaning out this ravine near her home, Michelle Wilson discovered hundreds of pieces of mail dumped in the woods.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, honestly, I get really annoyed that people just throw their cups and what have you out into the ravine, but to find the mail was a whole different level.
The mail was found in Atlanta near University and Villa Drive. Most of the items were less than a week old.
26.
And some contained sensitive information.
This looks like maybe a W-2 form.
After collecting everything from tax documents to financial statements, Wilson loaded up the mail and dropped it off at the Postal Service.
Yeah, the girl at the counter was surprised. She said she had heard about this before, but had never seen that volume of mail being returned.
Wilson also informed her community with this social media post. She said many neighbors told her they have been expecting mail and haven't received it.
I've even decided I'm going to put like a camera up on one of these trees.
The United States Postal Service confirmed to CBS 46 they are now investigating the incident and hope to determine what happened.
There was hundreds of pieces of mail. I would say just the careless recklessness of it, you know, not caring that someone's important mail wasn't going to get to them. That was kind of bothersome.
And Wilson told me that the mayor's office also took a report today and will be investigating this incident. No word on who may be responsible at this hour, but as soon as we get new information from the United States Postal Service, we will share that and update the story. We're live in Atlanta tonight. Adam Murphy, CBS 46 News.
Adam, thank you. Developing tonight, a federal judge is rejecting a plea agreement for the men convicted of killing Ahmaud Arbery. This comes just a week before their federal hate crimes trial is set to begin. CBS 46's Haley Mason joins us here in the studio with the details on this one. Haley?
Tracy, this was a surprising end to this federal hearing happening just days before the hate crimes trial is set to begin. A plea deal tossed out as Ahmaud Arbery's family begged the judge to have two of the convicted killers serve all of their time in state prison.
The plea deal would have allowed the McMichaels to serve 30 years in federal prison first, then go to state prison to serve the remainder of their life sentences without parole. The Arbery family fought against the deal in court, saying they felt betrayed by the Department of Justice. The family attorney writing that federal prison is like a country club in comparison to state prison. Arbery's family told the judge that the father and son should not get to choose their confinement. Arbery's mother saying, quote, Ahmaud did not get to have a plea deal before he was killed. The DOJ said going into the weekend, they were originally told the Arbery family would not oppose a plea deal and only learned differently on Sunday. Meanwhile, in the hearing, GBI and FBI investigators took the stand saying they uncovered evidence that proved Travis McMichael had racial animus. In court today, a federal prosecutor said, quote, as evidence in his social media and text messages, Travis McMichael has for years associated black skin with criminality, and he's harbored resentment toward African American people. The prosecutor said in text messages and social media, Travis McMichael expressed a desire to see African Americans, specifically those he sees as criminals, to be harmed or killed. After rejecting the deal, Judge Wood is now leaving it up to the McMichaels to decide if they will withdraw their guilty pleas completely and head to trial, or keep the guilty pleas on the books and head to sentencing.
So a lot happening there, and so we want to clarify, if the McMichaels withdraw their guilty pleas, then they will head to federal court for the hate crimes trial next week, where they will be joined by their former neighbor, William Roddy Bryant. But if the McMichaels stick with their pleas remaining in place, they will skip the trial and head to sentencing in the next few months. Sean?
A renewed crackdown on human trafficking. Airport and city leaders say the problem has gotten worse since the start of the pandemic. The International Labor Organization estimates there are currently 25 million victims of human trafficking around the world. CBS 46's Crystal Bowie is live at Hartsfield-Jackson tonight, where officials are launching a new initiative to keep it out of Georgia. Crystal, good evening.
Good evening, Sean. And officials are saying this is a big problem. In fact, Mayor Andre Dickens said today that the underground sex trafficking brings in over $300 million into Atlanta every single year. And so officials are ready to face this head on. City leaders say students spending more time online during the pandemic means more opportunities for predators to strike.
You think about the opportunity that makes these students vulnerable, and it makes the predators attack them and play on their vulnerability.
And as travel picks up, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport also a hotbed for sexual exploitation and forced labor cases.
You see more people flying, that means more people are in and out of this airport, and therefore you have more incidents that we have to catch of human trafficking.
Georgia's First Lady, Marty Kemp, spoke about the state's ongoing efforts as they partner with the city, county, and airport officials to put an end to the heinous crime.
I'm excited to share with you that this summer we will open our second receiving facility for survivors in the Peach State.
Additionally, officials are working on a more aggressive approach. Recently passed laws including giving survivor the ability to sue their traffickers, stripping someone of their CDL license if caught using their truck to traffic, and victims are now legally allowed to change their names.
While I personally believe that there's a place in hell for anybody that would engage in this business, what I know for sure is there's a place in jail for those who are caught in Atlanta, and particularly in this Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport.
And state lawmakers also want to make it much more difficult for some of these sex traffickers to get out of jail. What they're looking into is whether or not they can postpone bail until a superior court judge actually looks at it and approves it. Reporting live in Atlanta tonight, Crystal Bowie, CBS 46 News.
Now at 6, a CBS 46 investigation finds contract negotiations are putting health care for hundreds of thousands of Georgians at risk. Several local hospital systems and insurance providers at odds over cost.
It is an ongoing problem that experts say is getting worse. CBS 46 investigative reporter Rachel Polanski spoke to lawmakers who say it's something they plan to address.
He became a teacher to make a difference.
If I can do something for a kid or teach him even one thing, it's a blessing.
But now, 75-year-old Sandy Arroyo is trying to teach himself the intricacies of healthcare after his insurance company United Healthcare and his hospital system WellStar cut ties.
What do I do? Where do I go from here? How do I get my bills paid and still get the health care I need?
Sandy and his wife live in Kennesaw, roughly 15 minutes from WellStar Kennestone, where they go fairly regularly because of pre-existing conditions. Now they have two options. 1, drive further for in-network care, or 2, keep the same doctors and pay more out of pocket. A large burden, Sandy says, for a retired teacher on a budget.
And I don't think we should have to rely on that because we have insurance. That's why you got insurance.
Sandy is one of 80,000 Georgians impacted by the WellStar and United Healthcare dispute, which officially expired in October. Reps for both companies tell CBS 46 investigates that negotiations continue. Still, each places blame on the other, with a WellStar spokesperson telling us, quote, United Healthcare's position to prioritize profits over patient care did not change, and there was no meaningful change from prior proposals. While United Healthcare responded, our proposal met all of WellStar's demands with the exception of the 40% price hike it continues to seek for its hospitals, which are already the highest cost in Atlanta.
To think that you're throwing people's lives up in the air over dollars, it just infuriates me to no end.
If this story sounds familiar, it's because we introduced you to Tanya Lang and her son Mason last month. They're dealing with a similar situation in Cumming, where a contract dispute between Northside Hospitals and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is impacting 400,000 Georgians like Mason, whose heart condition requires frequent visits to Northside Forsyth.
You've got these powerful interests on the healthcare side and on the insurance side with enormous amounts of leverage.
Liz Coyle, who heads consumer advocacy agency Georgia Watch, blames contract disputes on two things: One, consolidation of the marketplace. That's when we see mergers involving two major companies that provide similar services. And two, inadequate network standards. That's when your insurance plan does not give you enough access to doctors in your area. And she says the only way to fix this is through legislation.
I'd like to see legislators, again, in this case, bring them to the table.
So, CBS 46 Investigates went to the Capitol and brought these concerns directly to State Senator Chuck Hufstedler, who co-sponsored surprise billing legislation in 2020.
The patient is being used as a pawn in the middle of these negotiations. We've got to fix this. We fixed it with surprise billing for emergency situations. Now we need to fix it for non-emergency situations as well.
He offered a possible solution, pointing to a 2015 bill that sought to resolve disputes between insurance providers and hospital systems by sending them to arbitration.
We need to require these people to follow some ground rules that don't let the customers, the patients, be used as pawns.
All right, so how soon might we see legislation? Well, I asked Senator Hufstedler that question directly, and he said it's likely that we'll see something this session. Of course, I will be watching closely, Sean.
Rachel, thank you. But quickly, any types of contract disputes between recently resolved cases, have they been happening in the Metro?
Yeah, that's a great question. And earlier this month, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield actually reached agreements with both Emory Healthcare and the Children's Care Network to keep coverage in place for patients in those plans. That is something that Sandy and Tanya tell me that they are hoping for in their cases as well. Live in the newsroom tonight, I'm Rachel Plansky, CBS 46 News.
Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis is asking the FBI for security as she investigates former President Trump's 2020 election interference. The letter was written as a result of the president mentioning Georgia and Atlanta a number of times at his rally in Texas over the weekend.
CBS 46's Jamie Kennedy live outside the Fulton County Courthouse, which is where the DA wants FBI agents to provide security. Jamie, you spoke with two former FBI agents as well as prosecutors about the letter.
Yeah, exactly, Sean. I spoke to them and they were mystified, they say, by a DA sending this type of letter to the FBI about the security down here at the Fulton County Government Center and Courthouse, and said if there's ever a threat, they're always looking and they will let the department know. Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis sent a letter to the Atlanta FBI office asking for added security. It comes as her office investigates former President Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia. I spoke with two former FBI agents with decades of experience and both former prosecutors who were perplexed by the letter.
I think it's an unusual request, particularly because that's not the function of the FBI. The FBI investigates allegations of violations of federal criminal law, and they're not the security agency.
In the letter, DA Willis outlines her fears of security risks to the Fulton County Court, Government House and surrounding areas. She mentions in the letter Trump's rally in Texas over the weekend, calling for a possible protest here.
If these radical, vicious, racist prosecutors do anything wrong or illegal, I hope we are going to have in this country the biggest protest we have ever had in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Atlanta, and elsewhere, because our country and our elections are corrupt.
And the terms used to describe prosecutors looking into his affairs.
It really is prosecutorial misconduct at the highest level.
As the reason the FBI should conduct a risk assessment of the courthouse and provide protective resources to include intelligence and federal agents. The two former agents we spoke to questioned the process Willis used to ask the FBI for help.
And if you're trying to give the FBI a heads up, like, hey, this is what we have going on here right now, it's kind of sensitive. Can you guys keep your ears out? That can be done a lot less formally than a letter with all the copy counts to the mayor and everyone else that was included on the letter.
The former agent saying the FBI is always conducting intelligence and will contact any department if there is a threat.
Absence any specific credible threat, which as far as I know, there hasn't been any. The letter strikes of politics.
So we reached out to the DA's office. They said they would not be commenting any more on the letter, why they sent it to the FBI in terms of exactly what, if any, threat there was. And we also reached out to Sheriff Labatt, the Fulton County Sheriff. He said he wouldn't comment on it until the DA had. Live in Atlanta, Jamie Kennedy, CBS 46 News.
Right now, in Cobb County today, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp on hand at Lockheed Martin as the company announced a highly specialized jet will be built at the Marietta facility. The LMXT jet is a high-tech aerial tanker that helps Air Force jets refuel. Organizers say the jet will help modernize the U.S. Air Force and add some STEM job opportunities in Georgia.
This is going to be really the next advancement of manufacturing in our state. I mean, the work that's going to be done in this facility is really the high-tech part of the plane, so it's going to give opportunities not only for, traditional aerospace manufacturing, but also just, from a high-tech perspective.
The LMXT jet will deliver fuel to jets through the first ever automatic boom and air-to-air refueling system, which will help extend the range pilots can fly during critical missions. Right now at 5, a U-Haul slices through an apartment garage, yanking pipes down in the process. Police say they were trying to find the woman responsible. CBS 46's Mary Smith reports.
People living here at the Ashley describe an absolute mess inside the parking garage last night, from broken pipes to water flowing. Some of it was captured on video. Alarming video of the Ashley in Buckhead shows a mess of water and broken pipes in its parking garage.
There was water everywhere. It was enough where it looked like it was flooding throughout the entire parking garage where all the visitor parking is. Definitely didn't look safe.
Witnesses tell us this U-Haul rammed the ceiling.
I have a vehicle that was not damaged from it. It was on the second floor. We got an email from management and a ton of the visitor cars were damaged.
According to Atlanta police, witnesses saw the U-Haul's roof hit a white beam. The driver continued to drive, damaging the sprinkler system and the upstairs gate, causing pipes to fall and hit cars.
People need to pay attention about where they drive their U-Hauls.
The incident report says a woman left the vehicle and scene, but police found the driver's information through U-Haul.
Thankfully, my car's okay. Definitely would have been a big inconvenience. I was nervous since this happened right at the entrance to resident parking that I wasn't going to be able to drive, but luckily they cleared it out in time, so I am able to.
And Atlanta police tell us they are still searching for the driver. In Buckhead, Mary Smith, CBS 46 News.
Now at 5:30, a gun left in a car results in a child getting shot. It happened at a Snellville Chipotle Sunday afternoon.
CBS 46's Yasmina Alston obtained the incident report. She has new details on how it happened.
And it's very tragic that happened.
Shocked is how most customers at this Snellville Chipotle reacted to hearing of an accidental shooting involving a child. Snellville police say an 8-year-old boy was accidentally shot in his family's car Sunday afternoon. According to investigators, the gun was left in the car while the boy's mother went inside to pick up food. An incident report states that the 8-year-old boy and his brother were playing around in the car when they kicked something hard under one of the seats. The report states the 8-year-old boy picked up the gun, pointed it at his own face, and shot himself, according to his brother's statement. The report continues to say the gun belongs to the boy's stepfather, who told police he usually keeps it under the seat, but didn't know his wife was taking the car. One customer tells me it's tragic, but could have been prevented based off what he's heard.
It definitely could have, in my opinion. It should have, if not been on his person, it should have definitely been secured.
The child was conscious and alert when rushed to the hospital from the scenic highway location. Progan Smith says he used to work at the Chipotle and heard some of the employees stepped in to help the injured child, an act of kindness that doesn't surprise him.
It's no surprise that that's how we respond, just how we were trained. I'd say just human nature to want to help. That's not surprising at all that people were willing to help.
And as of this afternoon, there have been no updates on the child's condition, and we are still working to learn if there will be any charges. In Snellville, Yasmina Alston, CBS 46 News.
Thanks for watching CBS 46 News. Watch us live wherever you are, our mobile and our streaming news app. You can also watch us on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.